guys, it's Kai and I'm so glad you're here.
Why are you such a copycat?
Now that you can see these and that things are different, I'm gonna fix this shot real quick because this is a little bit too high. Hello friends. Real quick disclaimer, please ignore the obnoxious music coming from that direction because my neighbors, as usual, are inconsiderate pieces of shit who just don't care how loudly they play their music and if I can feel it and hear every single word at all times. They just don't care, so not the point. So today, we are here because it's time to get fucking spooky. You guys saw the title of this video. This is scary movies that effed me up as a kid. I actually got this video idea from a list of video ideas that I wrote down last October, and I only got around to like 2 of those videos that I actually wrote down because last October was super bad. I was in a very bad living situation. I was sharing a room with Connor in a house that I hated where there were screaming children all the time, and there was that, and I was battling a lot of depression and shit like that and anxiety about like work and money and things like that, and it was just not a good October. Some good things happened. That was when I first finally started talking to Loie, so that's good. But yeah, not much else happened that October that was good. So this year, I'm gonna like tackle that. Or at least I'm gonna try. As you can see, I actually already redid my background for Halloween, and I say as you can see, but you can't really see it. Maybe I should put him down so you can at least see Herbert in my videos. It's my little ghost friend. But I did redo my background and I think it's really cute. I got this bleeding skull candle today, which, okay, now I'm just rambling about Halloween stuff. But last year, Walmart came out with these skull candles that like bleed when you burn them. And I was living in Joshua Tree at the time, and I remember going, but I didn't have like any money, and so I like walked in, was just like looking, but I was like, I don't want to spend $5 on a candle right now, and so instead I got my like, actually I got this, my Let's Get Sheet-Faced wine glass that's plastic that I use for my Let's Get Shit-Faced videos and whatever. I got that, and I think that was like pretty much it that I got that year, and like some string lights from the dollar store. But ever since I didn't get it that time, and then I like wanted to get it like in actually October when I lived in Barstow where I live now, but the Walmart didn't have it, and so I was really upset, and I just kept thinking about this damn candle. And then today I was at Walmart. I took the bus to go get groceries because hi, my car isn't turning on right now because the alternator's messed up, but I took the bus to Walmart today to go get some groceries and stuff, and they had Halloween out. What? And they had Halloween stuff out, and they even had pumpkins out, which is exciting, but because I was taking the bus I didn't get one, but I'm going to soon and I'm very excited about it. But they had this little guy, and this is the only skull candle that I found that was like the bleeding skull candle. It was just like one on a random shelf that was like mostly empty otherwise. I didn't see anything for it like, oh, the bleeding skull candle, but it had a price on the bottom of it and it was like $5. And I was like, this is the only one I got, and I happened to find it, and it's like what I desperately wanted last year. I'm getting it. So yes, hello, this is my new friend. Maybe I should name him too. He bleeds, so I had to put like some cardboard underneath him. I don't know how I feel about that. It's a little bit weird, but I kind of like it too. I don't know, it's spooky. Anyway, without further ado, I just keep rambling about Halloween stuff. I'm just spooky, okay? I wasn't even gonna film a video tonight, and then I just like got in the mood to get spooky. I'm ready to get spooky. Okay, let's get down to business. Not to oh god. Okay, this is dripping a lot. Wow, when she starts bleeding, she doesn't stop, huh? I'm gonna have to clean that up. Oh no. Ow. Now it's a hot mess, like me. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into this. This is horror movies that effed me up as a kid. So I guess we're just gonna start from the beginning. So the first horror movie I ever saw, I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure it's the first movie I ever saw that was like a scary movie, was Chucky. I was a 90s kid, so it was like a really big thing when I was a kid, like Chucky. I don't know if it came out then or what, but it was like a craze. Like everybody was obsessed with that movie. And I remember being over at my cousin's house, and I heard like, I don't know, weird like horror movie noises or whatever, and I like walked out into like they had like a den and a living area, whatever. I walked out into the living area thing where my cousin Wally was watching Chucky, and I was like, what is that? And I didn't even watch the entire movie, obviously, because I came in partway through. Still never seen that whole movie to this day, by the way. I never really got to see Chucky as a good doll, which apparently is like the first part of the movie. I don't know. I literally walked in when Chucky was already like in his murder stage. I don't remember a lot of details from that movie, from like the small clip that I did see, but I remember watching that and it scared me so bad because back then I was in the middle of a glass doll phase. And when I say glass doll, I mean like porcelain dolls, and by porcelain, of course, I mean like that weird kind of glass type stuff that they use to make glass dolls or whatever now, and I don't remember what it's called. It's something weird. It's like compact something or other. I really don't remember. I had a lot of those and I was really obsessed with them. They were like the cloth bodies and then like the glass, like this part of the head and up, and then like the arms, and I don't know what it was. I just thought they were so pretty and so like, ooh, like I loved them. And I had one that was even like almost as tall as I was at the time. It came up to like my chest or my stomach or something like that, which for one of those dolls was like pretty big. I named her Lindsay after like my 3rd grade teacher. I don't know, whatever. But like it was a thing. Like when I tell you I was obsessed with glass dolls, like it was like a phase. Like I loved glass dolls so much. And then I saw Chucky and it was all over. That's legitimately, I have a fear of dolls. Like when it comes to like glass dolls and things like that, like I don't like them, and it's because of that movie. Like I was obsessed with them beforehand, and as soon as I saw that movie, I started thinking about like, well, what if they're gonna come to life and murder me? What if Lindsay comes to life and murders me in my sleep? Oh no, that reminds me, I was supposed to be wearing my, oh no, where did I even put them? Shoot, I absolutely cannot find them. Weird. Well, anyway, my point was about 15 minutes ago, my friend Lindsay made me these pair of earrings with little like rose quartz crystals in the end, and they were so cute. I'm really obsessed with them, and I wanted to promote like her new shop because she just opened it and stuff, but it's something that she's wanted to do for a while and she's really good at it, but I can't find the earrings to wear them. I did post on my Instagram about it, and this is the little box that came in. She put a little seal on it. This isn't sponsored, she's just my friend and I think she's talented, and she said a cute little note in it, and then there's also like, this is what they came on, and it says in a really cute like little script, Erin's earring design. Yeah, you guys should go check out Erin's earring design on Instagram. I'll have her linked, and if nothing else, you can go on my Instagram, which is at whatacoffeecat with 2 T's, so like what TA coffee cat. And I have a post about the earrings and I tagged her and stuff like that. But yeah, go order earrings from her. Hopefully yours won't go missing. Where the heck did they even go? So the next one that I have on here is Night of the Living Dead. Now I believe there were multiple versions of the Night of the Living Dead movie, and maybe there were like remakes or they were like sequels or something. I really don't remember. The movie I'm talking about is the black and white version from like the 70s, 80s? Siri, when did the black and white Night of the Living Dead come out?
I don't really know.
Me either, that's what I'm asking. Can you search Google? 1968. It came out in 1968. So I watched that movie probably when I was like 8-ish, something like that. And let me just kind of set up the scene a little bit. So I lived in this house in Charlotte, North Carolina, right? Like we're just gonna pretend that that's right here. The backyard is all right here, right? Like behind the house. So now we're in the backyard. At the back of the backyard was a fence, and the fence had a gate in the middle, right? So if you come through that gate, there's like a whole bunch of woods and stuff, and like an old broken down camper to the side, and not that that matters at all. But that was basically also my cousin's backyard once we came through that fence. So it was like my house was here and their house was here, and you could either go all the way around on the road to get to the front, and it was like kind of long because it was like in a neighborhood, or you could literally just go through like the fence that was right here between our two houses. You could go through that gate. And so my house was here, I went through the gate and then went to my cousin's house over here. And my cousins owned that Night of the Living Dead movie, the 1968 version, and I just like, I had never really liked horror movies or watched many horror movies. I believe I had seen Chucky by that point because again, I think that was the first horror movie I ever watched. But I remember being over there. It wasn't like I went over there at nighttime to go watch that movie. I'd actually been hanging out there like all day with my siblings, I believe. I don't know. It might have just been me, to be honest. I really don't remember. But I was over there with my cousin Brittany, and she felt like watching a scary movie, and I wasn't like against the idea because again, the only one I'd ever seen was like about scary dolls, and I was like, yeah, we can watch a scary movie. I also was like obsessed with seeming like a more mature person than I was, which is actually a common theme in my life now that I think about it. But she's like significantly older than me and always has been, and by significantly I just mean like 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. But when you're little, that seems like a lot. Like when I was like 8, she was already like a teenager. So she wanted to watch a scary movie and I was down. So we went into her mom's room, we turned off the lights and turned on that Night of the Living Dead movie. And eventually she like got bored and got up and left, but I was still sitting there watching it. So I was alone in my aunt's bedroom by myself, lights off. Second time ever watching a horror movie, watching this black and white horror movie, which was just so vivid in my mind. Again, I'm like 8 years old. I don't know if that's exact, but I was little. And so like my imagination's like running with this, right? And I'd never really encountered anything having to do with zombies. I mean, I had heard about zombies and like, you know, children's Halloween rhymes and whatever, but I'd never seen any movies about zombies or anything like that or read about zombies anywhere else. So my idea of zombies was like, oh yeah, I don't believe in them, they're not real, like it is what it is. And I actually, when I was a kid, went through a huge phase where I was very much like, yeah, no, monsters aren't real, ghosts aren't real, zombies aren't real, blah blah blah, which is hilarious now. And that was before I'd ever had any ghost experiences. So I can't really tell how old I was because I was also young when that happened. That whole part of my life honestly blurs together, and I feel like I lost a bunch of chunks of time, which I'll talk about in the future because I want to make an alien video in the future. Let me know if you want to see that. So I sat there and I watched that movie, and I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen it, but it's just a very old black and white movie about zombies, and it's pretty simple. I don't remember like a lot of the dialogue. It actually, I feel like most of the movie they didn't really speak a lot, which honestly almost made it more scary to me. But so I watched that movie, okay, and by the time the movie was done, it was like late. Like I was supposed to go home like a while beforehand, but like my mom was letting me stay late by myself, not with my siblings. Like it was just me staying late because I was watching that movie. And again, it's not like I had to like walk miles home. Like it was literally my house, my cousin's house, just go through the backyard, like through the fence, go up to my house. Like it was like really close. So my mom's like, yeah, that's fine. Like, you know, you're with your cousins, you're right behind my house, just come home once the movie's over. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's no problem. Until I stepped outside. Now, I was in the city at the time, but the neighborhood I was in was still like pitch black at night. And like I said, there were like woods right in between our houses. There weren't really woods anywhere else, which was kind of weird to me. Like there were like spots of woods. It was in North Carolina, but where I lived was like a neighborhood, and it wasn't like houses and a bunch of woods and houses and a bunch of woods. It was just like we happened to have enough trees between my house and my cousin's house for it to count as woods, or at least to provide a bunch of cover and just make it extra dark. So I walk out of my cousin's house and instantly I'm like, I'm in pitch blackness. I can barely see my hand in front of my face, and I just watched my second ever horror movie about zombies coming out of the trees to eat you. Shit. Even as I'm walking out of the house, I'm sitting there like, oh, but it's okay, like zombies aren't real, zombies aren't real. And the further I go from the porch light, the more I'm like, what if they are? What if I'm wrong? What if these movies were made for a reason? What if zombies, like the folklore came because there were real zombies, and then people just decided to write stories about them, and then we all decided that they weren't real, but maybe they are, maybe there's one hiding right behind that tree, maybe it's gonna get me if I don't book it. And so I remember literally just like running through that fence and running all the way up to my house and being all out of breath and being super freaked out. And I didn't watch another horror movie after that for a good long time. That one, I mean, seriously, I still think about that movie. Not that it like still scares me. I kind of want to go back and watch it and see what it would look like now, because I feel like now I would like be into it but not like be super freaked out the whole time. I don't know, but even back then I thought it was like a really good movie. It just, you know, was terrifying to a kid. But yeah, so the next one that I want to talk about is Pet Sematary. It's funny because every single video that I listed on there, I mean, it's because it like, you know, as a kid, like when I was a kid, I was still living in Charlotte, North Carolina. Then we moved to Waxhaw, which is like out in the country or whatever, but I was already like 11 by that point. I think I just turned 11 by the time we moved in like July of that year. So all of these movies happened back then. Like I said, the whole time I was at that house, I cannot differentiate how old I was or like the order of a lot of things. It's just very fuzzy, so bear with me. But I do have like very specific memories about all of these things. So my mother has always been really into Stephen King, and because of that, she's always been really into like horror movies and things like that. And my dad likes horror movies and my brother likes horror movies. My sister now is super into them. My uncle's like a horror movie buff. He actually writes for like magazines. He like does reviews on, I mean, not horror movies, and then also on horror movies and things like that. But horror movies have always been like around. Like my family just kind of consumes them like their regular media, which is why it's weird that they've always been such a thing for me. My mom always loved Pet Sematary and would make references to it all the time. Like she would like talk about church, like, oh, we could name this cat Church, because I grew up with like a bunch of cats. Just little things like that. Like it was always like one of her favorites. And so when I became old enough to watch horror movies on my own and I had like a TV in my room and a DVD player, she decided to let me watch that movie. Now this is about either when I started believing in ghosts or when I started pretending that I liked scary stuff. And by pretending, I mean that of course I did enjoy scary things, but I've never been able to consume scary media by myself and then just be by myself in the dark and be totally fine. Like even now, if I'm gonna watch something really scary, I mean YouTube videos are different, but if I'm gonna watch like a scary movie, I have to be with people and I have to be able to have plans afterward where we're like laughing and stuff. Like we have to like watch a bunch of Vines together and not be going to bed right after that. You know what I mean? Like I can't do that. Every time I've tried it has not gone well. But I didn't know that at the time because I was a kid, and this was like really early on in my scary stuff stage. And so my mom let me watch Pet Sematary because she figured it wasn't like too scary, but it like was scary enough, so like it was okay, right? And I agree with that. You know, looking back, I think it probably wasn't that scary. Like it was a little spooky for sure, but I don't think it was like terrifying. But for whatever reason, holy shit, that movie scared me. I mean, legitimately, it just, oh my god. Like I remember watching it and then being so scared out of my skin. And I did finish that movie. I watched the whole thing, but I was just so jumpy. Like every little thing that happened, I was like, Oh my god, like I was like a skittish cat. Like everything was scaring the crap out of me, and I had to leave my light on. And back then I didn't used to sleep with a night light or anything like that, but that night I remember I didn't have a night light of any kind, but I was desperately wishing that I did. If I didn't share a room with my sister and have a room right beside my parents' bedroom, I probably would have kept my light on all night. I don't think I slept very much that night. That was a little bit more hazy. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed watching it, oh, that was definitely after my first ever ghost experience, because with my ghost experience, it was a mattress on the floor, and at that point I was sitting at the edge of my bed, which had a frame, like because I was sitting on the frame. So that's probably why it scared me so much, because I was already having those dreams with the spooky ghost guy who whispered in one of my 2 ears, which I don't know if I've talked about that on my channel, but I will at some point. Let me know if you guys want to hear it. I don't know if I'll do a whole separate video on it or if I'm gonna put it in with a bunch of stuff, but that was a thing for a while. So that's probably what it was, and maybe that was why I was trying to like immerse myself in spooky stuff so I wouldn't be so scared, but that time it did not work. So the next one I'm going to talk about was definitely a little bit later in my life. Again, I was still living at the same house and everything, still living, like my house was here, my cousin's house was here, and the fence was right here. So back then we used to like go to each other's house like all the time, and they would like take turns, or like it was just a thing. Like we basically lived in both houses to some extent. So we were over there a lot, and we hung out with those cousins a lot back then. And I remember my brother this was like right when The Grudge came out, or maybe there was a craze around it. When did The Grudge come out?
The Grudge was released October 22nd, 2004.
Okay, so then yeah, it probably was right after that movie was released, because I remember everybody was obsessed with it. My cousin was very obsessed with that movie. My brother watched it with him. They like got a copy of it and like had it so they could watch it whenever they wanted, because they also like really loved horror movies. Again, that's where I watched Night of the Living Dead. And I remember like I always thought that my brother was super cool, and I wanted to be like him. I wanted to be like my cousins and whatever. Like I wanted to be one of the guys, and so I wanted to pretend like I was totally fine watching a scary movie, and they seemed to think it was such a good movie, and I was scared, but I still wanted to do it. And so I remember being like, wait, you guys are gonna watch The Grudge? I want to watch with you. And they had already seen it a couple times. They're like, no, you don't need to watch that. I'm like, no, I'm fine. Okay, I will be fine. I would like to watch this movie, thank you. Why I was so adamant, I don't know. But I was insisting, no, I will watch this movie with you. And so there was a day that my brother and I walked over to their house, and we were in Aaron's room. It was just like me, my brother, and my cousin, and we were watching this movie. And at the very beginning, there's a part where there are like noises coming from the attic, and this lady, I still have such a vivid memory of this because it was like the biggest troll that I'd ever had to deal with. And so like I said, we're laying in bed watching this movie together, and she hears the noises, and she like starts to get up and like look in the attic, and very slowly, you know that horror movie thing where the suspense, and she's like very slowly peeking into the attic. And my cousin Aaron said like, oh yeah, I remember when I first watched this movie, I thought it was so scary. Turns out it was just a cat. And my brother's like, I know, right? Wow, what a troll, or what he didn't say what a troll, but it was basically like, oh yeah, I know, huh? They get you real good, huh? And so I'm sitting here like, oh, this is gonna be fine, and I kind of laughed it off. So I'm expecting to just see a cat jump out. It was a lie. I have been bamboozled. Literally, she like slowly opens like the attic, and then the Grudge like pops out and does her little thing, and oh my god, I jumped out of my skin. They're lucky I didn't pee my pants. And after that, I got so mad, I did not finish that movie. I jumped up and I left the room. They laughed at me though for so long after that, and because me and my pride and my ego was so big, I was like, you can't think I'm a baby. No, it was just because you were rude about it and you made me think it was a cat, and then I got mad. It wasn't because I was scared. And so I decided to beg my mom to let us all watch it together, because I figured if I was watching it with my mom, I wouldn't get scared. I was wrong. But my mom was like, oh, well, you know, everybody's old enough. My sister was also begging. My younger sister was also begging to watch it. And this was like a while later. I don't know. But she got it from like, whatever. We rented the movie somehow. Or maybe we just borrowed it from them. That's probably what happened. My dad was really into video games for a while there. And so I remember he was in the living room playing video games, and the rest of us were all crowded in my mom's room watching The Grudge. Now, I had steeled myself for that first scene and had mastered the art of looking away at the perfect time, but of course hadn't seen the rest of the movie yet. Now, Now, I was still little-ish, and so like I didn't fully understand the plot of a bunch of it. Looking back, I'm sure it would like make more sense, but like back then it still didn't really make much sense why they were like looking in a bathtub and pulling the drain and looking at this house that they were probably buying, but whatever. My brother decided about halfway through that he was bored because he had already seen this movie a million times before and he just didn't feel like sitting around and waiting for the end of it. So he got up and he left, and I laughed at him like, heh, like I lasted longer than you did. He's like, I'm not scared, I'm just bored, I've seen it a million times. And I was like, yeah, sure, that's what they all say. But honestly, probably that was the case because he had seen it like a million times before. So the longer I watch, you know, in every horror movie, the end is always way scarier than anything else, and so, you know, it starts to get really scary. And I was fine for a little while, and then when it started to get really intense, I like was looking away pretty much the whole time, and then I just decided I couldn't look at their faces another second. The people in the horror movie, I mean, not my mom and my sister, but that too, because eventually I just like stood up and I had to walk away, and I was in there watching my dad play X-Files on his PlayStation instead of watching The Grudge, and my brother was laughing at me and he's like, oh, see, you got scared. I was like, no, you left first. And he's like, yeah, because I was bored, you haven't seen the whole movie. And I was like, no, I just figured I knew where the plot was gonna go, and I didn't really want to sit around and wait for it to happen because I was bored too. We all knew I was lying, but everybody, no, I was gonna say everybody humored me. Actually, I don't think anybody humored me. Everybody was like, yeah, you got too scared. Okay, so my battery's blinking, so hopefully this lasts. But the last movie I wanted to talk about, I don't know what it's called. I don't know the name of it. I don't even know if it exists. It has to, but I don't know. This is more of like kind of a spooky story time than anything else, and my parents are still baffled by this to this day. So back when I was little, anytime we would go trick-or-treating, and I think this was very shortly before Pet Sematary and The Grudge and all that other stuff, so this was actually really early on. But when I was little and we would go trick-or-treating, my parents would always check through all of our candy first because it was like a really big thing. Like they didn't want us to find needles, or if they like saw a little needle hole, they were like, oh, maybe there's like poison in here. And like if it like looked like it had been opened at all, like just in case, they would throw it away. So I remember we were sitting in the living room and they had sorted through some of it, and so we were like eating the candy that had been sorted through, but they were still sorting through other stuff, and they had some random black and white scary movie playing on the TV in the living room, and I didn't know what it was. I was like enthralled, like drawn in, staring at this TV, and I described this to my parents years later and they don't know what I'm talking about. They were like, that doesn't make any sense, like I remember that year, I don't know, like that movie wasn't black and white, blah blah blah, and also like that didn't happen, I don't know what you're remembering, but what? But basically what I saw on the screen was there was like this lady, again, it was a black and white movie, right? And I remember this lady like running because she was like hosting a dinner party or something, I really don't know. I remember this lady was like fighting with this guy that she was like engaged to or married to or something or other, I really don't remember, but they were like arguing back and forth. After fighting with her, the man like walks out into like the big ballroom area, and she's hanging from a rope in the ballroom area from like a chandelier, and it was like 2 seconds after he had just been arguing with her, so he's like confused because he had just talked to her, so she was probably a ghost or something, I really don't know, but he like walks out there and sees her hanging like, you know, from a rope, like dead, like had hung herself from this like banister or chandelier. I think it was like the banister actually, but it was like really high up, maybe it was the chandelier. She was hanging basically, and he's like freaked out, and I don't remember a ton after that. I have like really weird small clips of like images in my head from that movie, but I didn't understand really what was going on most of the time because I was little and mostly heard a bunch of rappers in my ears and my parents were talking whatever, but I was like watching it. I don't feel like there was talking, or if there was, it was very minimal. Like I said, it was black and white, I don't know. But I remember after watching that, I had already, you know, eaten some candy and whatever, and it was bedtime, and we all had to go to bed, and so I went to my room, and my sister had gone to bed actually way before I had because she was younger, and either her bedtime was sooner or she was tired sooner, I don't remember. But she was already in bed, so the light was already off, and I had to creep and be quiet, and I couldn't turn the light on to get in bed. So, you know, I told my parents goodnight, hugged them, kissed them, whatever, and then went to go to my room, and I walked in there and had like a really weird prickly feeling, and I was like, I'm uncomfortable, but I'm probably just spooked from that movie that my parents are watching in the living room, so it's fine, like it's Halloween, of course I'm spooked. And so I walk in and I like get in bed, and back then I wasn't like scared of the dark. I'm more scared of the dark now than I was back then, which is a thing. But I got in bed, and literally at the edge of my bed was like this long like bookcase, right? And I looked at the edge of my bed and I saw two glowing red eyes. I had definitely seen The Grudge by that point because it made me think of that. It wasn't like I was half asleep or anything like that, but I'm literally getting in bed, and as I'm like starting to lay down, you know, I'm facing this direction after I like get into bed, and I stop, and there are two glowing red eyes just like staring at me. And it wasn't like my cat like reflecting in the thing or whatever, and it was like red, but it was also like pointy, like literally like cartoon red eyes. But I also didn't like hallucinate them because they were like glowing and real. It wasn't like, it didn't look like a cartoon, if that makes any sense. I don't know. But I remember screaming, and so my mom came and ran in there, and I was like, I just saw eyes at the end of my bed. There's somebody in here. I don't want to be in here. And I like was trying to like leave my room and not be in the room and stay up a little bit later because I couldn't go to sleep. I couldn't go to bed. I didn't want to be alone in my room. I mean, I was sharing a room with my sister, but you know what I mean? She was already asleep. But my mom was like, no, there's nobody in here. She like checked around to humor me and whatever, and could not find anyone because of course. And to this day, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was like an actual ghost or if my mind really was just playing tricks on me, but there were no lights or anything. Anything could have been reflecting off of for that to happen. So I don't know. But that house was super haunted, so honestly anything is possible. But yeah, we didn't talk about that for years after it happened. I brought it up literally like a couple years ago. I was like over visiting my parents, and we were just like having dinner or whatever, and I brought it up because I couldn't remember. Maybe it was in October, I don't know, but I brought it up because I couldn't remember what movie it was, and I wanted to know because I kind of wanted to watch it again just to like see what movie it was or anything like that, because it scarred me so deeply, and then I had that scary experience. And when I was explaining it to my parents, they were like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, there's like one Halloween movie that I watch sometimes that's like black and white, but that doesn't happen in it. That scene doesn't sound familiar, whatever. And I don't know, like they were watching this movie, like they had put this movie on, but they have no idea what movie I'm talking about. So I don't know if I saw something different on TV or what's happening, but it's a little bit spooky. Let me know if you guys want like a background tour for my filming background, or maybe I'll start standing up in my videos. I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna probably adjust things. At least I want Herbert to go down a little bit lower. I named him Herbert. He's very cute. I gave them all voices, not that it'll matter. But yeah, I at least want you guys to see his cute little happy face because he's a cutie. We're getting spoopy. Spoopy. I don't know. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video, especially to this week's shout out of the week. Across the screen right here. There across the screen. I don't remember what voice I gave him anymore, but I remember that he was very cute and bouncy. But anyway, thank you for being shout out of the week. Your shout out of the week because you're pretty dope. Yeah, you were like really active with Kai on her social media, and now it's weird because she's literally talking right behind me and everybody knows it because you can see her, so it's weird that I talk about her in the third person. But anyway, if you guys want to be shout out of the week, all you gotta do is be super active with her on social media. Your best bets are Instagram or Twitter, but also like on YouTube if you leave comments so that she can shout you out at the very end and also have you on the end card. I feel like I gotta clear out my sinuses after that voice. Anyway, yeah, that's about it for this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Give me those thumbs and share this video if you like me. And that's all for this video. Stay spoopy, my dudes, and I'll see you in the next one.
Why are you such a copycat?
Bye.